Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Ask Admissions Live. My name is Jordan Stevenson. I'm the Director of Student Recruitment, and I am so excited to be with you tonight. Monday night, it's been a minute since I've been here, so we have a huge night for you tonight. We are going to talk about financial aid and scholarships. What? And because we realize the significance of this, we brought out the A1 professional. We went to the tippy top of the financial aid and scholarship world, and we have Karen Ruhlman with us tonight, the Executive Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships. So,
the Executive Director of the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid.
Very official.
Very official.
You did it perfectly.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. My name is Savannah, and
News from the Nest. It's our little segment to get us started, just so everybody's aware that there's a lot of stuff happening as we're going throughout the year, and depending on the time of the year, there's some very important things in her Halloween costume around the house, trying to wear it out, which is good because a lot of times you buy that thing and then they wear it once and then it goes into a box or something, you know, just to take up space in your closet. So she's wearing her costume around the house. What I want to tell you about is if you're out there and you're in high school and you're a senior, we're getting very close to our priority deadline. November 1 is our priority deadline. If you're interested in one, it's to encourage you to apply to college, period. I mean, just got to be honest with you. There's a reason why we give you deadlines, because if we didn't, you wouldn't do anything, right? I think you probably would agree, Karen,
would agree.
in the financial aid world, right? So excited to come to KSU. I want to start getting all of these next steps, these things that I need to do before I enroll at the university knocked out for orientation and housing for fall of 2022 before anybody else does. So orientation and housing open on December the 1st. I think it's a Wednesday, if I'm remembering correctly. So December 1st, housing application will open. Housing, awesome housing professionals, great living, learning villages, lots of options when it comes to living on campus and getting involved in this community as a resident here at KSU. So if you want to live on campus, Marietta campus, Kennesaw campus, you've got to get in early for housing, priority deadline in college. You're going to go to orientation. Doesn't matter the school you go to. That's a thing that exists. And so for us, it helps you, exactly what it's called, orient you to the university, transition to being a KSU student. So you want to go, just a little bit of inside for us, you get accepted. You got to be accepted first as well. Get accepted and then pick the earliest possible orientation. I'm here tonight to tell you, if you're watching this tonight, it's important to tune in to these things that we offer you because we share some insider information. So if you apply priority and you're accepted early, that means you get us your SAT, ACT scores, you get us your high school transcript, give you early access to some special dates happening in April for orientation. So Savannah doesn't even know this. This is a reaction from you. Karen actually knew about this.
I did know.
Because we were in a meeting earlier today.
Yeah.
So
I feel so.
Karen was holding it in. Our new student programs office, fantastic folks. They want to give you an earlier orientation. So if you really want to commit to the University of Atlanta, other spring breaks fall right there as well. So I believe this year it's Gwinnett, Fulton, Cherokee, they're all falling at the same time. So there's going to be nobody working. Orientation, so if you're a priority and you're applying early and you get everything in, you could sign up for one of these April dates. And what's so cool is that you get to register for classes at orientation. Preferred fall schedule. You get to build out your fall schedule. You're locked in for your classes. You're ready to go. The summertime, then you can go on your big, I've graduated high school. Did y'all do anything fun like when you graduated high school?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I
Karen?
grew up overseas.
Like Karen, you can go to Spain and France after graduating high school. Check that out. I didn't do that. Essentially the same. We went to Seattle, Washington.
I should say
And-
I graduated from high school in Germany. So
They did.
My parents are just happy that I graduated high school.
That's right.
We
They were like,
had a
okay,
plan.
one
set.
one box checked.
Yeah.
Now let's get her through. That frees up your summer. So big reasons to consider coming to an early orientation. So really excited to share that with you tonight. Watch out for those things. If you've been accepted early, or if you're one of these students that's going to hit that priority email account, it's going to encourage you to consider these dates in April. So check that out if you want it. If not, If you're not interested in that, if you got big spring break plans, for whatever, then so that's a big thing, big priority stuff. Other reasons too is to encourage you to do some of the things that happen all throughout the academic year. So for instance, we're getting close to, and you need to be an admitted student to be able to get in there and really get involved with what's going on with scholarships. The other thing has already opened in the office, or is it kind of like FAFSA? FAFSA.
Just FAFSA.
Yeah. Do you have to correct people in the way they pronunciate and
Only our staff.
only your staff?
Like when.
Yeah. Oh, I feel
I
like
did the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say I feel like
did the
half of my career it was FAFSA. There was like, wait a minute, there's an F before the S for the next academic year. So if you're out there, you're a go-getter, you might have already filled it out. If not, we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to demystify the FAFSA process, the financial aid process, and help make it more accessible for you. And that's the goal of things like this, of Ask Admissions Live, is to make these things more accessible to students and to families. So a couple of things that you could have been doing or should be doing or now will be doing right here around priority deadline. A couple of other things I want to talk about. I realize that throughout the pandemic, that taking the SAT or the ACT was probably something you didn't want to do. Two, had less access to do, fewer test sites, fewer test dates available. So we're here early, and you've heard from me multiple times. You've heard from other folks within the admissions office. We've been preaching this since the University System of Georgia said we're going to turn back on SAT, ACT requirements. You need to take the SAT and or the ACT. So we've tried to make test sign up. We've tried to make it much more visible. One, hopefully you've seen it out on social media. We post about it on Instagram. We've got our awesome students that are on there sharing their stories, talking about their SAT and ACT experiences and their application experiences. But we've made the test dates even more accessible. We've made them, if you go to our website, admissions.kennesaw.edu, you're looking at the test score requirements under freshmen and transfer freshmen. We've put all the dates for this entire academic year right there on the site, including the link to go ahead and sign up to take the SAT or the ACT. So we wanted to make this accessible. We wanted to give you the sign-up dates and the late registrations and all those things. So I'm going to give you a little heads up tonight. One, go and check that website out, bookmark it. That way you can go and see, okay, I need to take the SAT in December, and I'm going to take the ACT maybe in February, something like that. Go and check it out and make sure you're looking at it regularly. One, so you know when the tests are happening. Two, so you know what we require for admission. So let me tell you about some of the very near SAT and ACTs that are happening. First, ACT, there's one on December the 11th, and you need to sign up by November the 5th. This is another thing we try to demystify. You can't just sign up for the SAT a week in advance or the ACT a week in advance. These test organizations want you to sign up a month in advance, as you can tell. And frankly, you don't want to give them more money than you have to, so you want to sign up by the regular deadline date. So the regular deadline for the December 11th ACT is November the 5th. For SAT, there's two tests that are coming up. There's one on November the 6th, so not that far away, the November 6th test date. That's late registration, so if you're out there, you're still wanting to be considered for our priority deadline, you need to take that November 6th test if you haven't tested yet. So SAT, sign up by October 26th. It is late registration, but it's for the November 6th date. And then you've got one ACT in December, and you've got an SAT in November and an SAT in December, so not that many left. If this is all overwhelming to you, we are here in admissions to help you, not just with these kinds of events. Awesome, she's an in-house counselor, so she meets with a lot of students and families that just come into the office looking for help. They have any number of scenarios. She's heard it all, and she's going to help you out. So we've got people that really want to help you through the process. Let us know. Another thing that we do to help you out and try to make everything happen in one day for you is we host these big open house events. We've had 3 so far. Karen's been at every one of them. God bless her. They really want to serve you. And again, make this a less stressful process, demystify the financial aid process and the scholarship process. So we appreciate all the partnership that y'all have had with us and really for our students and our families. But we've got one more to go.
Yes.
One more. here on the Kennesaw campus. I point because we're on the Kennesaw campus right now. Sorry, you have no idea where we are unless you watch these all the time. We're actually in a really cool place. So we're in the Convocation Center in the hospitality suite. This is the sweetest place. It's a nice setup. So anyways, neither here nor there. Last open house, November the 13th. That's a Saturday. So, what you doing? I get you could be doing something, but most likely not doing anything. Come to open house. You can sign up on our website. We're going to post the link for the sign up. It's really easy to get to. If you go to visit.kennesaw.edu, you can click on the open house button. It's right there. I believe it's orange. And if you go just to our website, admissions.kennesaw.edu, you can sign up for open house right there as well. So sign up for open house, November the 13th here on Kennesaw. The day starts off really big rah-rah welcome session. We have a lot of fun. We get you out on campus. You go to academic sessions and learn about your intended major. Go to special sessions with financial aid and scholarships to learn about how they help you afford college and make college accessible for you. You go here from career planning and development and the honors college, and then get to eat on this campus, the Commons. We just ate in Stingers on Saturday. Yum, yum, yum. It was fantastic. I know it's trouble for me. It's super trouble. So anyways, we have a good time though. We earned that. We earned that
The best
lunch
mint
at
dessert
3:30.
I've ever had. It was like a mint trifle.
It was.
It was amazing. Love it.
You tried it first and you were like, yeah, it's worth it. Because
Yeah,
I
it's
asked.
worth it.
Yeah, I had to ask first. Although I'll try anything, so whatever. But it was good. So last one, come here. It's completely free for you, completely free for your family. Come, have a good time with us, see what KSU is all about. Get your picture with Scrappy, really fun event. Tour campus, go and see our incredible housing. And then you get to find out, really, is KSU the school for you? That's really what open house is all about. So we have a lot of people here to help you figure that out. If you can't make it to open house, we're doing campus tours Monday through Friday, 2 each day on each campus. So we try to make that as accessible as possible for you as well. We were one of the only schools that were hosting campus tours throughout the pandemic. We only shut it down for a couple of months. We've done it safely. We've done it in a way that is accessible for families. So we're really excited to continue with our awesome campus tours. Come and hear from our incredible tour guides. They want to share their student experience with you. That's another way to get to know campus if you can't make it for open house. So do that here this fall. Make sure you're figuring out early, is KSU the right school for you? Is this somewhere where you really want to go? And that way you're knocking out all these other to-do things, and you'll have college figured out. Less stress on you throughout the rest of senior year. Boom. Your whole life ahead of you. Ready to go. Okay, awesome. So tonight, we are really here to talk about financial aid and scholarships. I'm so excited because Karen's here and she's going to do all the heavy lifting. Although that's not untrue, but no. We are excited to have you, Karen. Excited. I know the families that are out there, students that are out there are excited. So if you have a question about financial aid, about scholarships, post it in the comment section. Emily is here tonight. Emily's fantastic. She's going to read off questions so that Karen can answer them and Savannah and I can jump in as well. And then if you just have general questions about the university, about admissions, anything you want to know, we will attempt to answer them. And if not, we've got some awesome folks from around campus that are in the chat as well. They may be answering your question even quicker than Emily can read it off and we can answer it live. So watch out for answers from other folks around campus too. But before we get started with the questions, Karen, tell everybody out there a little bit about yourself because you're super cool. So tell them why you're so cool. Maybe, again, just a reminder, name, title, how long you've been at KSU, and what got you working in financial aid.
Okay, Karen Rollman, Executive Director in Institutions. KSU is obviously my favorite because I've come back.
Hooty Hoo.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
And this is going on I've had 8 years total at Kennesaw State.
Nice.
And I am very privileged to lead a phenomenal team of people doing this work, financial aid. What got me into it? I was doing my master's degree at University of Louisville, and at the time, the only graduate assistantship open on campus was in financial aid. And so if I wanted my education paid for, I needed to get that assistantship, and I applied, and after an hour and 50 minutes of questions, they
Wow.
Wow.
Financial aid folks don't play.
they do not.
No.
I got that assistantship, and that's how it started. And I've really, really grown to love it over the years.
Wow.
That's
Who would
amazing.
have known? You know, what were you planning on doing, Karen?
Academic advisor.
Academic advisement. Okay, so not like too far off.
Not too
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're doing money advising.
far. Yes.
And probably a little academic advising too, if we're going to be honest. So,
From time to time.
from time to time.
Yes.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. It is interesting how, and Savannah, you can talk about how you got into it, but I mean, we commonly hear in our profession that you just fall into it.
You do.
You know, it's funny that you saw a posting for your grad assistantship, and to get school paid for, you went for it, right? I started working in admissions because somebody had said, "Hey, it's cool. You get to talk to students. You know, you get to stay young your entire life." And by the way, yeah, maybe, right? You could tell by looking at me. But you know, they also said, "Oh, and by the way, you get your master's paid for." So I was like, "That's
Yes.
free is for me. Free is for me." So sign me up, because yeah.
Yeah. I did, so what got me into higher education, so I went to a small private school for my undergrad, and I loved it there, and I did a degree in organizational communication with a lot of focus in marketing and social media, and I really wanted to be a social media consultant. And then I got a job as a marketing assistant for a financial firm. I did it for 6 months and realized I missed talking with people in person. I did a lot of behind the computer work and everything, a lot of numbers, analytics, and everything. And I heard about the position that was open at my undergrad school, and I really dove into what that looked like. And it was working with students, helping them through the admissions process, which I really feel like I needed whenever I was in high school. And I loved that aspect of it. And so I got in I was an admissions counselor there for 3.5 years, and I've absolutely loved working with students with this whole process. Whether, you know, they're first generation students, whether they're adult learners, transfer students, all of that process, they have so many different questions, because higher education for a lot of students can be kind of what you were saying, Jordan, very mystical, you know, and so it's helping them and showing them that their dreams of whatever they're trying to do as their job, you know, telling them how they can do that is just so awesome. And it's so awesome to be a part of that process, especially the financial aid process. You know, paying for that is definitely really, really important too.
Nice. Well, speaking of,
Yes.
good segue. I think we have some questions about that very thing. So fire away, Emily.
Yes. Okay. So the first one is from Russ, and Russ says, "Would I be eligible for HOPE if I'm an adult, non-traditional student?"
Right. Good question.
You can be if you are a Georgia resident and you complete 30 credit hours. And then we will do an evaluation to see if you have eligibility. So you can gain HOPE. There are some other stipulations. A lot of it just depends on when you graduated high school, and there are some caveats there. But we check everyone. So we check every student every semester to see if you've either gained eligibility, or you had eligibility coming in, or that you've lost eligibility.
Karen, would Russ need to fill out the FAFSA or fill out the HOPE application?
So we always encourage students to fill out the FAFSA because that's good for both federal and state aid. The GSF application is only good for HOPE. And we really want to look at a student based on everything they can be eligible for.
Nice. Good question. Russ hit it right off the bat.
Yeah.
All right. So another question we have is from Bree, I think. I was just accepted for fall 2022, and I have orientation coming up. Will I be able to register for classes that far out?
Yes. So Bree, Hooty Hoo to you. Congrats. That's awesome. And you said fall 2022?
Yes.
Yeah. So Bree, when you get that email about some of these early orientation dates, I would encourage you to sign up there for the April dates. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really special experience. This is our first year doing this. And yes, you will sign up for classes. Classes are available to sign up for for new incoming freshmen at those orientation dates. So it's going to be just like a regular orientation, just done in April instead of done in the end of May all the way through the summer. So if you can't make those dates, something's funky with your schedule, you got a great spring break trip, then any other orientation date will do, and you will sign up for your classes at orientation.
All right, so our next question is from Hayden. So they're asking about in-state versus out-of-state tuition. Specifically, they're talking about, they said, I hear that cheerleaders can receive in-state even when they're an out-of-state student. So how does in-state versus out-of-state work?
You want me to talk about the cheerleading part of it, the whole thing? So one, you'd want to talk to your cheerleading coach to see about, because I believe what you're mentioning, Hayden, I believe what you're mentioning is the out-of-state tuition waiver. Make sure you confirm with your cheerleading coach that would be something that would be available to you. Something that is available to you absolutely as an out-of-state student is the out-of-state tuition waiver and scholarship that is offered through undergraduate admissions. You can read about that on the admissions website. There's a whole section on waivers. And if you're coming in as an incoming freshman or as a transfer student, it's the same application. So it's a simple application. It's right there. The link is right there on the website. It's open right now. You can click on it. I've been getting, they come in to me, so I see them coming in. We've been getting waiver applications already for 2022 terms. So you can fill that out. That is separate than what cheerleading may be able to offer you. The waiver that's coming out of admissions is merit-based. There is an application process, an essay that you need to write, a letter of recommendation required, and then certain SAT, ACT, and GPA standards that are required to receive that waiver. It is a competitive process, so I do want to let you know that. Not everybody's going to get the waiver, but my advice to you is position yourself really well. Write a good essay, have a great recommender, make sure you're doing as well as you can academically, and then let the chips fall where they may, but apply early. All the while, also talk to your cheerleading coach to find out what's available through cheerleading.
All right, awesome. So Kay asks, what's the criteria for maintaining the Hope Scholarship?
So in order to maintain the Hope Scholarship is checked at the 30, 60, and 90 credit hour checkpoints. So after you've hit 30 credit hours, 60 credit hours, or 90 credit hours, and it's also checked every spring. Students have to maintain a 3.0 GPA in order to maintain the Hope Scholarship.
Boom.
Awesome. Perfect.
Easy peasy.
All right, so Carmen says, have I read that one? Okay. Carmen says, I've been accepted, but still don't have my SAT scores. I'll have my SAT November 6th. Will I still be able to sign up for early orientation?
So that SAT from November the 6th, it usually takes College Board around 3 to 4 weeks to get us the test score. This time of year, it's usually around 3 weeks. So we normally will tell people these early November test dates, we can still work with you for priority consideration, because when we get the test scores, you've got to make sure, let me put it back on you. You've got to make sure that you've got everything else done. Application, that your high school transcript is already here. If you have dual enrollment credit, that you've earned credit, grades have posted, so you took prior credit, we have to have that dual enrollment transcript as well from that institution. We have to have all those things on file. Once we get your test scores, that's easy, that's quick. Comes in electronically, we connect it to your application, and then we can make a decision on you really fast, and you would still have access to those early orientation dates.
All right, and the last question I'm seeing is from Nicole. Nicole says, do dual enrollment classes taken in high school count toward the 30-hour checkpoint for Zell and Hope?
So they will count towards the 30-hour checkpoint, but they're not going to count against the attempted hours or the paid hours that a student will have. So yes, we'll be looking at that because the student has crossed that 30-hour threshold.
Something
Awesome.
that I have a question about is whenever I was in college, I lost hope my sophomore year going into junior year, but I gained hope back. I know you mentioned that it goes 30, 60, 90 hour. What kind of advice do you give students if they're coming close to that, right under that 3.0? What do you kind of suggest for students?
Well, I will always strongly suggest that any student work with their academic advisor, work with tutoring, get any assistance that they can, because we actually have a lot of resources on campus. If you lose your Hope Scholarship, there are chances to regain it. And so during that time, you need to do your absolute best to work hard to try and get your GPA back up. The same thing goes for the Zell Miller Scholarship. So we actually have students who can lose Zell Miller and drop to Hope because they still have that 3.0 GPA, and then can gain Zell Miller back. So the biggest thing is to basically keep up with your studies and reach out to all the resources that we have on campus.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen.
Karen, I always like to, I've used the word demystify already. I really like to speak to folks that are out there that this is a very intimidating process, especially college period is intimidating. Correct. But then when you throw on financial aid and you throw on this application that is through the Department of Education, i.e. the federal government,
right,
it starts to, all of a sudden people's stress levels get up. I know from personal experience, it's really not that stressful. It's just something you have to do, right?
It is.
Can you demystify the process for these folks? Can you talk about, one, why does somebody need to fill out the FAFSA, or why should they consider filling out the FAFSA? Right. And maybe help make it a little just more transparent for them.
Sure. So the FAFSA is good for a year, for an academic year. We actually encourage students to complete the FAFSA every year because the formula changes. We need the FAFSA because that tells us what type of aid a student is eligible for, and that's incredibly important. You are absolutely correct. It does seem very mysterious. We are absolutely here for our students to help them through the process. We actually have counselors that are assigned by last name, and this is even if you're going to be an incoming student and you haven't even started with us yet, to help a student and their parents through that process, because some of the questions are difficult or can be difficult. The FAFSA has actually gotten a lot easier over the years, and by easier I mean you used to have to fill out all of this very, very complicated tax information, and now they can actually go out and retrieve that information from the IRS, which saves parents and students a lot of questions.
Yes.
That were previously quite complicated. So they can do that data retrieval and that information comes right in. The rest of the questions that they would answer would be more demographic in nature, like how many people live in your house? How many people in your house are going to college? What's your address? What's your date of birth? Things like that. So that really has simplified the FAFSA quite a bit. And like I said, we do have counselors on call to assist any student trying to fill out the FAFSA. We actually just had a FAFSA pop-by event this past week where we made popcorn.
Yeah, so cool.
So we made popcorn and we had students come in and we assisted them with filling out the FAFSA.
Now, how many people
That's
took
awesome.
popcorn? Were they all about the popcorn?
They were all about the popcorn.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you have different popcorn flavors?
No, we
Nah.
just had one. But we
alright,
did
that's
pop
alright.
it fresh in
Yeah.
the office.
Okay.
So
That's awesome.
Like with a cool popcorn. I mean, we didn't
Like,
get to
yes.
see it, you know. Yeah,
Yes.
but like the cart, like the
Yes.
popcorn cart.
Yes, we had
so
a
legit.
really
So legit.
well, we borrowed it from the registrar's office. So.
Oh wow, the registrar
Shout
has
out
cool stuff like
to-
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Registrar plug.
Yes.
There you go.
We love y'all.
Nice. Y'all are office mates,
We are.
buddies.
We are.
You said something, Karen, when filling out the FAFSA, families can use the IRS lookup tool. What would you say to families out there that feel a little nervous about using that tool? What advice would you give them?
You know, it's secure. It is a one federal entity talking to another federal entity, and it is a secure process. This isn't a credit check. This is just pulling in the data so that the FAFSA can come up with that calculation to help us figure out what a student is eligible for.
I've always said to families, because I usually am pretty blunt or sarcastic or both. I've always said to families that don't want to use that tool, if if you think the government doesn't already know,
Right.
you know, your tax information,
Right.
you got another thing coming.
Right.
So make it easier on yourself.
Absolutely.
I know it was vastly different than when I was a student, like you were talking about, versus when my own college-age daughter went to school, and we would fill out the FAFSA every year. And it was, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like, you know, I could multitask and do it, but I would be watching whatever show I was watching at the time, filling it out, and I was done before the show was even halfway over. I mean, it's so, if you use the IRS lookup tool, it does make it so much simpler, so
It
much
does.
quicker. Then you just get to brush your hands of it and move on. So just do it. That's the thing. I probably need to pay Nike some money because I've used their slogans so much throughout my admissions career, but it's one of those things, Karen, I feel like people get stressed out about it, they put it off, and then because they're stressed out about it, they just continue to put it off, and the putting it off makes it even more stressful.
It does.
Right? So we all do this in life, something you really don't want to do, and then you get to a point where it's do or die. And we don't want you to get to that point. So that's why we're trying to make this so much simpler, so much more accessible for you as families remove some of these barriers, bring on awesome people like Karen, is to say, hey, just do it. Just do it, get it out of the way. It's the same thing with the application. It's the same thing with FAFSA. It's the same thing with Scholarship Universe. It's
Correct.
just do it. Then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to stress about it anymore. You can worry about all the other things you got to worry about in life. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay.
All right, so we have another question over on Facebook, and they said they already have been admitted to KSU, but when it comes to their FAFSA, they have another bachelor's degree. So how would that work with their FAFSA?
Nice.
So it does make a difference in the types of aid that a student is eligible for. They need to report that they have a FAFSA. It does take away their eligibility for the Pell Grant, and they're not eligible for the Hope Scholarship either. So at that point, it becomes loans.
Okay. Good question. Wow. Financial aid is so like you're straightforward. Boom. Here, let me give it to you. I love it. I love it. And then we're rolling on. So let's talk a little bit about. I'm going to steal your question, Savannah. I'm so sorry.
Go for it.
Let's talk a little
Feel
bit
free.
about the verification process as
Okay.
we continue to demystify.
Demystify.
You're more than welcome to use that word all you want, Karen. You probably use it all the time anyways. But yeah, demystify for folks the verification process, if you don't mind.
So verification is a federally mandated process where we actually have to check the accuracy of a student's application. 30% of our students are selected. 30% of all students.
All students. Yeah,
Are
right.
selected. So
The
we're-
entire United States.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
not special here at
Yeah.
Kennesaw for that. But basically, it's an audit process. So a student will file a FAFSA, and like I said, 30% of them are flagged that they will be selected for this process. And in that situation, we will reach out to the student and notify them and let them know, okay, we need certain documents from you. Basically to verify your household information, and in some instances to verify financial information that was put on the FAFSA. So we do tell you in advance, and the sooner that you get that done, the better.
When does the verification process typically kick off?
So we will be able to start loading the FAFSAs for the brand new aid year in November, the 1st of November.
Oh, wow, great.
So we are hoping to kick that process off within a couple of weeks of that.
Okay, awesome. So again, like you said, if you get a verification notice, and where does that notice go?
It should go to the student's email address, and so we'll attempt to send it to both their personal email address and
Okay.
their.
So your Kennesaw email, and then check your Gmail, or your Yahoo, or your Hotmail, your iCloud. I don't know what you got. All of them. Check all your emails. It's
Yeah.
really whatever you applied with is
Yeah.
the email it is. So try to remember which one you applied with. But if you're like me and I've got like 5 Gmail accounts, I'm trying to keep up with all the different ones. So just know which one you applied with.
And it's also listed on your FAFSA itself. So the FAFSA itself
Perfect.
will actually state that you're selected for verification.
There you go. So if they were to log back in, if they were to go look, they would see it. Okay. So do it. Otherwise, you're not getting financial aid.
Correct.
There you go. That's the end point.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Good question.
This is a question from Carmen. What SAT score is required to get the Zell Miller Scholarship?
So the SAT requirement for Zell Miller is 1200. The ACT is 26, and that's in a single sitting.
So no super scoring.
Great.
No super scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So easy.
Yeah.
Poof.
So I have a question, Karen, for as far as when you fill out the FAFSA, does it pull a credit check?
Not at all. Not at all. So the only time a credit check is ever going to happen would be on a parent trying to get a Parent Plus loan. And that would be something that they would have to actively initiate on their own. It's not something that we would ever initiate for the student or the parent.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. I know a lot of students who are first generation students may just be kind of unaware of that process. So it's definitely, that's a great question that a lot of students that I've had ask that.
Karen, that makes me think of when students receive a financial aid package, there's options for loans.
Correct.
There's the student side, and then there's the ability to go, the parent side, the family side. How do you counsel students and families to what does that look like to consider whether they need loans or they don't need loans as part of their college experience? What's the best way to consider taking out loans to pay for college if that's something that the student and the family has to do? Maybe it's just the student by themselves, whatever the process is. How does your office counsel folks?
So it's really about what you need and what your total aid package looks like. So if you're getting a federal Pell Grant, we are going to accept that on your behalf. If you are getting the Hope or Zell Miller Scholarship, we are absolutely going to accept that on your behalf. But with loans, it's really a student's choice. You need to, like you said, register early. Because if you register early, you know what your bill looks like, and then you can start to plan, and you can actually look and see, okay, do I have enough money with my grants or scholarships that I don't need the loan? We would never encourage any student to take out a loan unless they truly, truly needed to do that, because you don't want to incur that debt. But if you find that you do need it, you look at your bill, you look at what you have, then we would tell you, that might be an option for you unless, you're finding a different way to pay. There are a couple of different types of loan options, and that largely depends on student need. So there is the subsidized loan, and that is a loan where the government is paying the interest while you're in school. There is an unsubsidized loan where the government is not paying the interest. The subsidized loan is need-based. And then there is the possibility for a Parent Plus loan. So this is a loan that's actually taken out in your parent's name. And in that case, it would be a credit check, but the parent is actually making that choice. They have to go out and do that. It's a difficult choice when it comes down to taking out student loans. And we would, like I said, we would highly encourage students to take a look at your aid package. Can you swing it without taking out loans? And if you can, by all means, go for it. Or if you need to work a little bit more during the summer to save up and do that, then we would highly encourage you to do that. But if loans are going to be something that you need, we always tell students, take out the subsidized loans first if you are offered them before you take out an unsubsidized loans. And I will tell you, with unsubsidized loans, even our previous director used to have this joke and said, even Bill Gates' children can get qualify for an unsubsidized loan.
Yeah.
So
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
I would always say Michael Jordan's kids.
Yeah.
Bill Gates might hit better, but yeah, that's funny. I think that's one thing. Thank you, Karen, for talking about that. That I think families and students get confused about subsidized versus unsubsidized, and how meaningful it is to pick one over the other, or pick one first over going the unsub route. That it really is something that is in terms of loans, It's a big difference.
Right.
Subsidized versus unsubsidized.
Right. And we highly encourage students to talk to us. I mean, we actually have counselors in our office assigned to, you know, each student by last name, and these are people who are trained to help.
So do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid.
Do not be nervous or all these other.
Right. It's a big decision.
Yeah.
You know, and financing your education, there are benefits to it. But let us be there to help guide you.
Awesome.
I think a lot of times too, whenever I was going through that process with my financial aid counselor, a lot of the times whenever I just sat down with somebody and just went through it together, it was just so helpful, and you learn a lot more about it too. So if you have applied, or if you're thinking about KSU, reach out to the financial aid office. Kind of leads me into my question with that is, when do you encourage students to talk to financial aid?
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
If you are in the application process, please start talking to us. I mean, if you're looking at applying for admission, start talking to us now. Let us help you through this process. Let us tell you about the different applications. File your FAFSA now. Get it done as soon as you possibly can, because there are thousands of students who apply. So the earlier you get to us, you know, the easier it is for us to have those conversations and to be more in depth about that.
Right. Karen's office is fantastic, but we don't want to overload them with students a week before class starts or a day before class starts. And it happens.
It does.
And problems happen, and you know, emergencies happen. But please don't do that to yourself.
Right.
And definitely don't do it to financial aid either, because they're here to help you. Okay.
Yeah, we definitely don't want anyone stressed out in August. I mean, if you can square that all the way, you know, starting, you know, even in March, and make those decisions, it's best for everyone.
So Karen, there's one thing we haven't talked about yet. We've mentioned it, but we need to talk about it, and it's Scholarship Universe.
Scholarship Universe.
Yeah, would you tell, I mean, what a cool name, but would you tell everybody out there, what is Scholarship Universe? Why should they care about it? What can it do for them?
So Scholarship Universe is a fantastic product. We onboarded it a year ago. So we're coming into our second year of cycle. It is where students can apply for both internal and external scholarships. So they can apply for KSU scholarships, or they can apply for external scholarships. The best part about this program, or this product that we use, is that all of the external scholarships are actually vetted. So it's not going to send you to a scam site. These are true scholarships that really exist. So when you are applying for scholarships with us, the more questions you answer, the more scholarships it can match you with. And so you would think normally by answering more questions it narrows the field. It actually doesn't. It expands it.
Gotcha.
Tells us more of, you know, these are the possible internal scholarships you might match to, but these are all of the external scholarships that you can match to. And the best part about applying for external scholarships is that there are so many of them, you know, and if it tells you that, hey, you look like you match to like 50 of these, you know, do you want to go to the site and actually do the application? By all means, do that.
Right.
I think one of the best things that I've seen in my career and at all the different universities that I've worked at is that there are students out there who, I want to say, nickel and dime their way through the scholarship process, where they will apply for a bunch of them, even the ones that are small. Even the ones that are $500 or $750. Like right now, we currently have a student in our system who has 6 external scholarships and over $10,000 in it. And those are external scholarships that they applied for. You know,
it's Emily, isn't it? It's Emily.
Coming in my freshman year, I went to a really small high school, and I applied for as many external scholarships as I could and did the KSU scholarship. I got 2 KSU scholarships, and I got 16 external scholarships.
Whoa, so it's not Emily, but Emily has way more than this person.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So
I was
might
just
have went
making a
up to-
joke.
no.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Emily. Holy cow, look at that.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, it's
That's so neat. Oh, I love it. It's so different than when I was in college, which was, hey, go to the financial aid and scholarship office, thumb through a book to try to look at scholarships that were available. The internet was still in its infancy. Well, accessible internet, broad, internet. And it was like, oh, I think I might qualify for this one, so fill it out. Or you go to talk to your high school counselor, and it was, hey, look through this book and see what you could qualify for. And then you have to, here's the application. You have to write it, send it off to this corporation or whomever is in charge of the scholarship. So I love that it's all accessible, one application that opens up. Now I know why they call it Scholarship Universe. As you answer more questions, the universe gets more broad. That's
Right.
so cool.
Right.
And it's all within our umbrella, so it makes it so much easier to get to.
It is a fantastic product, and I will say 5 or 6 years ago we were that office, except
Yeah, sure.
instead of thumbing through a book, you were
Right.
on our webpage, and we
Yeah.
listed all of the different scholarships that students had successfully gotten, and you'd go out to their application and you would do this, and you're only talking about maybe 150, 200 different options. And then we moved to this product, and now you're talking about everything that's out there
Yeah.
that somebody has actually gone through and said, yes, this is a legitimate scholarship. You should apply for this.
That's so cool.
So with our scholarship universe, we do have vetted outside scholarships within it. For our umbrella application, does that also go through the outside scholarships that are within scholarship universe?
With the outside scholarships, basically you're answering the questions to see what you would match to. And then as you match to different ones, it'll tell you what scholarship you've matched to, and it'll actually give you a link to apply to that particular scholarship
Gotcha.
and go through the process.
Which is still so much easier
Yes.
than you just going into Google, just saying
All right.
scholarship application.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like Karen was talking about, they're vetted, so you can trust
exactly.
them.
Exactly.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So, folks, I think this is your encouragement.
Yes, please, please,
Right.
please. And start now.
Yeah.
Students who wait until June or July, most of those application cycles are closed. You know, the application cycles are starting to open up now. And don't be afraid to apply to a bunch of smaller ones. I would say,
Like Emily.
like
Hammering
Emily.
out
Yeah.
16 external scholarships. Oh my
amazing.
gosh. I had no idea.
So Emily was the one creating all the work for our office.
That's right. Yeah. Emily's like, hey, watch out for all these checks to roll in. They're all for me. Yeah, perfect. I love that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And I encourage students to write one really good essay. Right?
Ah,
Take
yeah.
the time, write one really, really good essay, and then basically steal from it as you're doing. I imagine Emily did that.
So a lot of outside scholarship applications are going to ask similar questions, and don't plagiarize yourself, but kind of pull and use those general ones. But yeah, definitely a good thing to do.
Very cool. So you've got, right now, FAFSA is open.
Yes,
So don't delay.
correct.
Okay, because I think Karen would love if you would do the FAFSA now in October, and then we hit November 1, and you're already accepted to the university because you're a go-getter, then Scholarship Universe opens.
Correct.
When does Scholarship Universe close? Because there is a date.
There is. So
Okay.
it opens November 1st and it closes on March 1st for our KSU scholarships.
Right.
But it stays open year round for our external. So anything.
Anytime you want to go in there. Okay, there you go. Insider information.
Yes.
Right here. Well, folks, this has been an awesome night. Thank you, Karen.
Oh, you're welcome.
We appreciate you coming out and helping. I'm going to continue to say demystify the process for everybody that's out there. Please, if you got something out of tonight, maybe you're watching this video a week from now, right? Because it's out there living on the internet through Facebook and YouTube. If you get something out of it, share it with your friends, share it with your neighbors, share it with your best friend from high school. That mom that you hang out, maybe you're a mom, maybe it's not you hanging out with a mom and you're the student, I don't know, whatever. But you got a mom group, you got a dad's group, whatever. Share it with all of your friends because you want to help them through the process too. Karen's made these things very accessible, very plain for everybody to understand and demystify the process. That's what these things are all about. That's why we do these things. So share this video with folks, help them through the process. Most of this stuff very applicable to KSU, but really broadly when we're talking about FAFSA, we're talking about just scholarships in general. We're talking about loans, grants, all those kinds of things. They're applicable at other institutions as well. So this is meaningful. Share it with all your peeps. And help them through this process. So if you have further questions, comment in the comment section. We'll get to those questions later on if you weren't able to ask the question here tonight, or you're coming in late and we've already closed it out. But that brings us to the end of our time. We've appreciated tonight, and hopefully y'all have had a great night out there. Karen, I'm not going to ask you what you're going to have for dinner, but I'll tell you I'm already thinking about what I want for dinner. So
Same.
the options are almost endless. So hopefully y'all have had a great dinner. We're going to close this out. Karen, we always close with owl eyes and a hooty hoo. Will you do it with us?
I will do my best.
I love it. So we're going to close out, send y'all off. Hope y'all have an awesome night, awesome week. Come to open house November the 13th. Sign up on the website. Hit all of our other links that are out there as well. We've got financial aid and scholarship website link out there too, so go check out their site. Lots of information out there again. Appreciate y'all. Have an awesome rest of your week. Okay, here we go. Hooty hoo.
Hoo.